Our top story tonight at 10, we are continuing to dig deeper into major allegations against the Apollo Theater in Belvedere.
13 News getting a hold of that complaint earlier today. Let's break down the important points. The biggest argument against the theater owners is that they didn't properly prepare for the incoming weather. Paul Rojas' lawsuit, it lays out a timeline and even more importantly claims the Apollo didn't have or didn't enact any safety procedures as the tornado rode through. Another clearer revelation, the extent of Rojas' injuries from that night. Court documents say Rojas suffered nervous, muscular, and skeletal injuries and is still recovering 7 weeks later.
So let's dig deeper right now into one of the biggest claims, and that's whether or not there was a clear warning about these incoming storms. And from the get-go, this wasn't just talked about on that Friday night. It was something your 13 Weather Authority was breaking down all week. Like right here on Tuesday, it was nearly 72 hours before that tornado would hit the Apollo.
Right now, our severe storm outlook has shifted some to the west. The higher chances are now more into Whiteside and Carroll counties, while the lower chances are everywhere else. However, we're not out of the woods just yet. All severe threats are in play.
But let's look now at that night, and the alerts were already going out at about 2:30 that afternoon, more than 5 hours before tornadoes were touching down near Boone County. The National Weather Service and your Weather Authority saying that moment was the time to prepare.
Tornado watches have been extended now across all of our viewing area until 10 p.m. So this includes southern Wisconsin and everywhere in northern Illinois. Earlier on this afternoon, it was just Freeport and Stevenson County and west. Now that does include everywhere else. This is your heads up that, hey, we've got ingredients here that could produce tornadic thunderstorms. So we don't have to.
But 5 hours later, the time to prepare became the time to act. The people here at WREX, including myself that night, were in the basement at this point, broadcasting from a safe space as tornado warnings and clear directions were announced.
We've got multiple tornado warnings basically stretching down the I-39 corridor. If you can hear us, you got to be down in your basement. That extends.
So there's certainly evidence to prove there was a lot of advance warning, but there's another big piece to prove in the courtroom if Paul Rojas is going to get the damages from the Apollo Theater owners.
Yeah, that's right, Will. Attorneys will also have to prove negligence and that the theater didn't have or didn't use an emergency plan that night. Belvedere Fire Chief Sean Shadle says his team did a general walkthrough at the Apollo more than 3 weeks before the storm and found nothing out of place. Shadle following up with 13 WREX saying they have no information that suggests the Apollo Theater didn't follow best practices that night. He finished by saying the owners have been easy to work with and responsive to any fire department request. But there are still several witnesses, more than 20 injured concert goers, and potential emergency plan documents submitted to OSHA that could come up in court. And we reached out to the Apollo Theater owners last night and again today, but have not heard back. The first time this case appears in front of a judge will be November 17th.